Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. A quick announcement that I will be on Lord Croco Squirrel's live YouTube stream Review the Developer this Saturday the 25th in order to discuss this topic further than what is addressed here. I would appreciate it if everyone were to stop by. I may even be able to convince them to do a small Q&A segment if enough viewers show up. So don't forget to follow me on Twitter or Facebook if you haven't already in order to keep up to date on live stream appearances and anything else. So, for fun, that's apparently a thing that I have to cover now. I admit I was planning on giving this one a pass, as it had been reported that the developer's Dalas Games, who is also a successful foreign YouTuber with over 6 million subscribers between his two channels, was apparently slapping DMCA strikes on YouTubers covering the controversy that is surrounding the game in question. And as I'm already battling one of those right now, I kind of want to keep one in reserve, you know? You can understand why, because after everything that's happened over the past week, I really don't want my channel to just vanish. Now, I realize that would be irresponsible of me, however, to at least not cover this in some form or another. So I decided to err on the side of integrity and throw caution to the wind, as it were. Now, For Fun, which started out under the name yookie-laylee on its Kickstarter page, is a collect-the-coin platformer touting up to 4-person local and online multiplayer that is currently on Steam under early access. And to be blunt, the game is, for all intents and purposes, a dull slog that I wouldn't even wish upon the likes of Dentola Studios. It's that horrendously boring. Everything about this game is objectively bad. The controls and options menus are a complete and utter joke, requiring mouse and keyboard input even when you attempt to make use of a controller, which is actually a far easier method of interfacing with a platforming game such as this. Also, the controls, I'm sure, are somehow explained in the tutorial, but I honestly couldn't tell you, as they decided to go for a voice-over tutorial style, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if the audio balance weren't so horrendous that I couldn't even hear what he was saying about 90% of the time. Instead, the microphone problems I've been experiencing are nothing in comparison with this game, and with a YouTuber with over 4 million subscribers on his main channel, I would expect a hell of a lot better than what was delivered here. Of course, Dalas himself has a reputation for exceptionally toxic behavior, so if that is indeed the case, it would explain the lowbrow quality of the sound work. A broken, dull, and boring mess with mediocre level design at best, the game is nowhere near as close to completion as the developers are currently stating it is. And normally, I would simply warn people away from this godforsaken abomination and be done with it. At $10 for the early access version that the developers fully intend on raising the price of at launch, this game is nothing more than a cash grab that offers zero entertainment value whatsoever and should not only be avoided, but should be completely destroyed on sight, except that won't be the end of it, no. There have been numerous topics of a highly controversial nature that have cropped up since the game was even announced on Kickstarter. For starters, the Kickstarter's page for yookie-laylee was a near identical copy of the game Yookie-laylee's page with only the bare minimum changed. And by bare minimum, they basically just changed the game title and that was about it. When the developers were confronted with the information, they had apparently claimed that some of the text were placeholders that were present only until their English translators changed it. Except they never did. The entire Kickstarter campaign page remained unaltered for the campaign's entire run. In addition to that, there have been at least 2 developers that were not compensated by Dalas Games for their work. Indeed, one such developer, according to an article regarding this situation on Techraptor, link in the description below, wasn't even aware that the game had been released in any form, and they were apparently making use of some of his assets, even though he was never compensated for his work. Another issue with paying individuals that were creating assets for the game was Music, a composer that had contributed at least some of the tracks within the project, although as of a few days ago it would seem that some sort of arrangement was reached, but Music will no longer be working on the project. If that weren't shady enough for people, Dalas decided to indulge in the time-honored tradition of the truly pathetic indie developer and decided to start attempting to silence criticism. Dalas had apparently asked one Steam user, Suiadan, to review the game, and to Suiadan's credit, and I deeply apologize as I'm almost certainly butchering the pronunciation, but to his credit, he provided an honest and fair review, which was, as you would expect, quite negative. Dalas responded by not only banning him from the Steam discussion board, but also went so far as to having the review removed from the storefront by claiming that it was offensive in nature, and even went so far as revoking his key for the game. Dalas indeed has banned a great many users, including the head of the Steam group Guardians of Greenlight, Mellow Online, and full disclosure, Mellow is a friend of mine, and his ability to ferret out bullshit developers and asset flippers is quite well known and respected. In addition to that, it was also reported, although I've not been able to confirm as I don't speak the language, that Dalas also posts keys for the game in his videos in order to elicit positive reviews on Steam, which would also explain why the only positive reviews that are present are either not in English or are in exceptionally broken English. But all of that speaks more to the developer's character and ethical integrity, of which I honestly cannot find any in this giant litany of amoral and shady behaviors. It would seem, based on the very real evidence, that Dalas Games is just one more shady con man development team attempting to make a quick buck. And many would think that would be enough, but Dalas Games decided to take it one step further still. Within the installation folder, once everything is unpacked, it was identified that several game assets belonging to the game Banjo-Kazooie were present within the current product, and one can clearly see that Banjo-Kazooie were at least a heavy influence to Fur Fun, even though Banjo-Kazooie is an objectively superior product. This discovery that was made by one of the admins over at the site The Cutting Room Floor clearly showed Banjo-Kazooie packages were present. Dalas Games has vociferously stated that the Banjo-Kazooie assets are not used in the game, and also that those were just names and were not actually Banjo-Kazooie assets at all, even though an audio segment was extracted and was shown to be indeed a Banjo-Kazooie clip. Now, despite the protestations by the game developer that these assets are not in the actual game, the simple fact that they made it into a game that is being actively sold and that data is being installed on the computers of the consumers who purchased it, that they are absolutely distributing game assets not owned by them for profit. I would defer to Leonard French on the legal aspect of such an action, but one can only assume that there are copyright laws in place to cover such distribution of non-owned content. Now, there is a fair amount of other issues to discuss as well, including the game sporting an E rating despite some of the adult jokes and content, along with language found within the game, and also by the fact that the game has not been rated by the ESRB or by PEGI as far as anyone has been able to determine. So, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Fur Fun. What a piece of shit. I actually find it a bit odd that I am still surprised by actions that some people will take in an effort to earn a quick buck or to take the lazy way out when it comes to their content. These people do deserve to be investigated and, if so, prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The only reason why so many people even attempt actions such as these is because they are typically left with no repercussions or consequences for their actions. It is my opinion that an example does need to be made, soon. Otherwise, those willing to commit such actions are only emboldened to do so even more. Now, I would like to take a moment to give a personal thanks to Mellow Online, Techraptor, and the Cutting Room Floor for their own parts that have been played in this story up until this point. Links to their content will be in the description below. But before you check those out, don't forget to drop a like and share on this video. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you might know. If you're interested in supporting my channel even further, feel free to throw $1 at my Patreon. While it's certainly not required, it does help immensely, and a link for that as well as my Twitter and Facebook are down in the description below as well. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I am SidAlpha, and I will see you next time.